It's March 2025 and there's dust everywhere in Bengaluru. Bus stops are falling apart, footpaths are covered in rubble. Everywhere you see dug up roads, concrete pillars, giant pipes and signs saying inconvenience regretted. Why is Bengaluru stuck in this endless cycle of construction? Why do our cities feel permanently incomplete? This 600-page feasibility report was commissioned by BBMP at a cost of 5 crores. It proposes 20 projects at an expense of 1.6 lakh crores. For context, BBMP's annual budget is just 12,000 crores. 0% of this report or its proposed expenditure focuses on pedestrian infrastructure or public transport. Ejipura flyover is barely 2 kilometers long and it has already taken 8 years to build less than 50% of it. The feasibility report proposes 200 kilometers across 18 flyovers and 2 tunnels, which at the Ejipura rate would take us 800 years to finish. 800 years of traffic jams, road closures, dust and fatal crashes. That's not even the worst part. They paid 5 crores for a report full of typos. If a student submitted this kind of report, most teachers wouldn't even accept it. The first project proposed in the feasibility report is a 27-kilometer long flyover that connects Yashwantpura to KR-Puram. This flyover will go over Mekri Circle, run along Fun World, via Alsur Lake and down onto Old Madras Road. This proposed flyover lands onto a stretch of Old Madras Road that has been getting white-topped for the last 5 years. Just as it is about to be completed, BBMP wants to put a flyover on top. The report spends many pages and many graphs to establish that this road does not have the capacity to accommodate the current vehicular demand during peak hours. This is true, but there are no graphs explaining how pedestrians or public transport users navigate this road. To explain their design, the report shows a few drawings. This section of a 4-lane flyover. This one of a 6-lane flyover. This rotary flyover at Swami Vivekanand metro station. And another rotary flyover suspended between 2 metro lines and 2 existing flyovers. And that's not all. On top of this rotary flyover at Tin Factory, they have proposed one more layer of jalebi-like flyovers. This flyover from Yashwantpur to KR-Puram is expected to cost over 3,000 crores. They haven't accounted for the cost of anything beneath it. There's no drawing of junctions, no design for bus stops, no details of what will happen under these flyovers or any clarity on how people will cross the road. Why? Because this report is written from the perspective of moving cars, not people. To make way for the Ejipura flyover, Koramangala had to give up its most valuable real estate, cut hundreds of trees, and watch its main road get filled with dust, cement, and cars. It seems they were not satisfied with this and now want to do the same thing to Indiranagar. But just like all other drawings in this report, this one too is designed only for the thoroughfare of motorized vehicles. I often travel this exact route, and as a pedestrian and public transport user, there's many things that need urgent attention. Footpaths, bus stops, bus frequency and street lights are all insufficient here. BBMP's report doesn't talk about any of this. One-ways, flyovers and footover bridges will not work unless you allocate the right road space for all the other trips that need to happen apart from cars. To truly decongest Bengaluru, we need dense, walkable and clean neighborhoods, contiguous footpaths with more streetlights, and reliably frequent public transport.
Tunnel road project, tunnel road. Misplaced priorities. You don't have roads.
Is the tunnel road the right way to spend 15,000 crores of public money? Are there other projects in the city that need this money more urgently? Is the tunnel going to help improve quality of life for the people of the city? These are questions that BBMP, Bengaluru's local government, elected by the people, should be asking, deliberating on and considering very carefully. But this local government doesn't even exist. What happens if we actually let them do this? Bengaluru will lose at least 20 years to the ongoing cycle of dust, pollution and congestion, only to realize that it created more problems than it solved. Air quality will continue to worsen. Stress levels and tempers will run high on the streets. The youngest and oldest citizens will suffer the most, their freedoms curtailed as they find themselves living in a city they can't navigate without a guardian in an SUV. Local businesses will suffer as construction disrupts access. Crores will be lost in revenue on top of the crores wasted on these projects. These 20 proposals will not solve traffic, but they will ruin the quality of life for the people of Bengaluru. The government's investments should improve the quality of life for everyone in the city, not just the 7% that drives. If spent on these road projects, this expense isn't going to improve anything for anyone. We'll be paying to make the city worse. Earlier this year, Bengaluru Metro raised its ticket prices by 105%. One of the major reasons for this hike was to help pay back loans. Major infrastructure projects are funded in part by loans typically taken from public sector banks or other countries. For example, BWSSB owes at least 10,000 crores to Japan. BMRCL took a loan of 6,500 crores to build Green Line and Purple Line. The tunnel roads and flyovers from the feasibility report are estimated to cost 10 times that. Much of this money will be arranged for by taking loans. And who is supposed to pay them back? BBMP is Bengaluru's municipal corporation. The BBMP represents the third level of government in the Indian democratic system. BBMP is run by a municipal council composed of elected representatives called corporators, one from each ward of the city. Our local government is supposed to have two branches. A legislative wing, that is the municipal council, made up of 225 elected corporators and headed by one mayor. Their job is to come up with policies for the benefit of the city. The second is an executive wing. One municipal commissioner, 8 standing committees, and several engineers form BBMP's executive wing. They are responsible for implementing the decisions taken by the council. The municipal commissioner is appointed by the state government, not the people. As of 2025, BBMP's legislative wing, that is the municipal council, does not exist. There hasn't been an election in the last 5 years. So effectively, no one has made any policies for Bengaluru city for the last half decade. BBMP's executive apparatus is active, but their work is not based on any long-term vision. Our democracy is ideally supposed to have 3 tiers of government: central, state, and local. For cities, the mayor is the equivalent of the chief minister. But Bengaluru has not had a mayor in the last 5 years. If we don't have a government, who is running this city? This guy, the newly appointed administrator. When a municipal council is dissolved, the state can appoint an administrator to do the mayor's job till a new council is formed. Multiple state governments have been accused of actively delaying BBMP elections because the status quo is in their favor. This is because they select the administrator. And they can make the administrator sign anything. So what happens when just one guy has to run a city of 1.5 crore people? Just one guy to manage footpaths, dry waste, schools, hospitals, road quality, and flyover design. Luckily, it's not just one guy. There are actually like 75 of them. BBMP is not the only agency responsible for urban governance in the city. Various municipal functions have been handed over to parastatal organizations over time. Parastatal meaning parallel to the state. The BWSSB was created to provide formal water supply and manage sewerage collection. BMTC was bifurcated from KSRTC in 1997 to provide bus-based transport for the Bengaluru metropolitan area. BESCOM was created in 2002 to handle power distribution in the city. Bengaluru has a massive list of parastatals with overlapping jurisdictions all trying to run the city, often getting in each other's way. A city master plan is a long-term blueprint that guides urban development, land use, infrastructure, and growth. A good master plan helps make things better incrementally in the long term by setting some rules. Build more in this area where all the cool stuff is. Don't build in this area because it floods, and so on. In 1976, the BDA, the most gangster parastatal of Bangalore, was constituted to take over planning and urban development functions for the city. Then in 1993, the 74th Constitutional Amendment mandated that only locally elected government bodies should make master plans, aka the BBMP and not the BDA. But the amendment was incomplete. It gave BBMP the power but forgot to cancel BDAs. So BDA told BBMP, BDA last made a master plan in 2015, 10 years ago. Because it was somewhat illegal, it got somewhat cancelled. So for 10 years, we have not had a master plan. Another conflict between parastatals of Bengaluru has affected the creation of the Comprehensive Mobility Plan. In 2007, the state government created a Bengaluru Metropolitan Land Transport Authority, or BMLTA, a brand new parastatal specifically to make and implement a comprehensive mobility plan for the city. It's 2025 now and the BMLTA still doesn't exist. But somehow, slyly in 2020, someone made a comprehensive mobility plan anyway. DULT, another parastatal, along with BMRCL, another parastatal, made a CMP to push their own agenda. Kind of like if Jio wrote the telecom policy for the entire country. At the end, the 2020 CMP was rejected. And parallelly, for the last 18 years, Bengaluru's mobility planning has been anything but comprehensive. BD8, BBMP, BWSSB, BMTC, BESCOM, DULT, BMRCL, all these alphabets are noise, distracting us from clearly seeing into the future. When your government feels accessible, you're more likely to engage with it. But when local government functions are transferred to state agencies, most changes must go through Vidhan Sabha instead of your local BBMP ward office. Parastatals lack democratic legitimacy. None of them have any elected representatives. So they are not answerable to anyone. And over the years, we have created so many parastatal agencies that it feels like nobody is responsible for anything. We've had project after project and projects cancelling out projects for decades. All of Bengaluru's infrastructure projects have only worsened commuting. Instead of coming up with a long-term vision first, then designing projects to achieve it, Bengaluru seems lost. Is there a method out of this madness? At least on paper there is, and that paper is the Constitution of India. Instead of so many incomplete parastatals, a capable and complete local government would be much better, with elected representatives, a good mayor, and touchpoints at the grassroots. Article 243ZE allows for the creation of a Metropolitan Planning Committee, where at least 2/3 of its members are elected representatives from municipalities and panchayats, and the remaining members are experts. But the thing is, nobody with power gives it up voluntarily. Our state governments are enjoying the status quo too much right now. Multiple ruling governments in the state of Karnataka have weekly come up with new excuses to delay BBMP elections. If quality local governments decided on long-term policies and then came up with cohesive projects to achieve their goals, the situation on the ground would look vastly different. It's not that Bengaluru's residents aren't aware of these problems. We just need to shift the way we ask the question. The question is not whether we need a tunnel road from Hebbal to Silk Board. The bigger question to ask is how much will we lose to the continued absence of a true local government. There is not a single person's name on the entire 600 pages. We have no one to hold accountable for this feasibility report. It is not right for so much power and money to be centralized with the state, especially when it impacts our everyday lives and the lives of many future generations. We need to take the power centralized with these parastatals and transfer it to the hands of the people, to bodies independent of the state. In the meanwhile, dear government, please be more intentional as you do God's work. Stop creating more projects and new parastatals. Construction is not development. Projects are not policies. Moving cars is not mobility. Come up with a plan for the next 50 years and come up with a plan for the next 6 months as well. Take the advice of the thousands of experts in our city who are screaming their lungs out. Otherwise, just like brand Bengaluru, our streets will remain permanently incomplete.